All right, so today we're going to take a talk about tools, and I'm focusing today on manual die cutting machines. There are actually a lot of brands out there. I have 4 lined up on the counter to talk to you about, and this hopefully will kind of give you an idea of what these machines are, what they do, and how they may benefit you. So I am taking questions from the live audience. Feel free to go ahead and ask a question. I'll do my best to answer them, maybe even at the end. So first thing we're going to do is kind of go through what I have on the table and kind of where we're at with that. So I'm going to move the camera over to this area. You can see all of my crafty storage behind me. And I'm going to go ahead and so that you can see what we have here. So the first machine I have on the table is called the Evolution. And this is, again, a manual die cutting machine. It's kind of like a Cuttlebug on steroids. It features a really large platform. And the way it works, this is it all locked up. So it isn't quite as compact as the Cuttlebug is. But one of the things that makes this machine unique is that it has this dial system over here on the side. It allows you to go from thinner paper to thicker paper and select letterpress, emboss, or die cut. We're getting a couple of comments that say this is the one that's always on my desk. It really is very handy. As far as weight goes, I feel like I could pick this up and move it around without pulling my arm out of my shoulder. And by the way, this is a machine from We Are Memory Keepers / Lifestyle Crafts. Lifestyle did it first, and then they were taken over. Or I think We Are Memory Keepers was purchased by American Crafts, and so now it's one company. But I do like it. It's nice and compact. The way, now you notice, if it's just sitting on my counter, it is not stable on the counter. So you do have to pull down the arms, and when you do that, it releases a suction on the bottom, or it creates a suction on the bottom. So now it's a little more sturdy. One more time. And it is a hybrid because you can emboss, die cut, etc., etc. Okay? So it has a really nice little cranky handle on the side. You can use it for right hand or left hand. And this is kind of an interesting all-in-one mat. It's a soft mat instead of a hard mat. But this is actually your die cutting surface. Unless you're me and an idiot and have a tendency to put your dies upside down, in which case you chew up your plate, and it is not reversible, as you can see. So I will have to replace this just due to my own user error. But the pros of this is that it is a fairly decent price point. It's lightweight as compared to some of our other machines. You say the mat is a mess. The mats always are going to be a mess. That's the problem with digital die cutting machines. Any die cutting machine, you're going to end up having consumables that you use up, and the mats are always going to be something that you consume. So again, I like it because it doesn't have a huge footprint. If I want to go ahead and move it off to the side, it's easy to move with one hand. And you're ready to go. Now, somebody said it warps too fast. I'm just going to point out that actually this is not a lot of bad warping because it's a soft mat like this. How large is the paper? This is only a 6-inch wide, but by 12 inches long. I do not care to have to put this upside down. So theoretically, you put your die down here, then you put your paper on top, and then you run it through. Now notice though, with this mat, which is I think it's very durable, you can't see what you're doing. So if you really want to place your paper somewhere specific, for example, if I have my little hello die, so if I want to make sure that this stays put, you have to use a little bit of washi tape to make sure it stays exactly where you want it, because once you put it in here, you can't see it anymore. Your visual reference is gone. So, for example, this is why I keep all this washi tape. I'm putting it down, I'm putting it face up, and now I'm going to give it a crank. And I might have to go through it a couple times until I've got the right thickness, because it isn't just one sandwich. You've got this dial to deal with, but that was enough. Now, here's an interesting thing about this machine. Many many of these machines, you have that bite or kind of that moment where it cracks and you know that you have gotten the cut. This does not. It's actually pretty quiet. But let me show you how that went. Okay. There we go. So, again, the only con that I have for this machine is the fact that I can't see what I'm doing. But I like the fact that it's very, the knob on the side allows you to vary the widths in case you want to do something heavy duty. And as somebody mentioned, it is very smooth and quiet. It doesn't have that like crunchy, crunchy sound. And let's take a look next at the BigKick. Now, I have to be honest, I have not used this machine in quite a while. Traditionally with a Sizzix machine, now I have this extended platform, which is nice because it does give you the sandwiches on here. You can see that I've also kind of cut on it a little bit. But it gives you like these built-in shims. So there you go with, you know, if you have different thinlits or inkets, it actually is going to show you right here what the sandwich is that you need, which is very handy for those of us who forget these things. Right? So this machine has a large footprint. It does not fold up for easy storage, so it really is not a small thing. I wish I had my measuring tape here. I could actually measure it for you, but it is the size of my forearm. You get the idea. It's pretty heavy duty. Now, the benefit to that is that it's very, very stable. It's not going anywhere. I also feel that BigKick Sizzix machines have a nice smooth action and are really sturdy. Nancy says, I love my Big Shot with its magnetic plate. So there are magnetic plates for that, but they don't come standard. Just so you know, you would have to buy that as an add-on. So I'm trying to keep it with just like basic stuff today. So if I were going to use my Sizzix Big Shot, and I think this came with it, but maybe not. So sometimes I have to shim it with another. And now we do a little experimenting because, like I said, it's been a long time since I've used it. But if I remember correctly, I can position my paper down and see what I'm doing. And then, whoops, sorry, earthquake, guys. This goes right on top. And you can see here, this is the Big Shot, yes. I'm sorry, I have to come around the other side, so I missed your comments while I'm actively demonstrating. Mine is 7 years old, and the handle broke. Oh, I bet you could even call and ask for a replacement. So here's that hello again. Heavy duty, but great. I'm still using my red and white BigKick. Yep. So these are notoriously sturdy machines. If your handle broke, call them. See if they can send you another one. But it's nice and reliable. And what I do like is that I can see through with the clear mats. Now, as I mentioned before, they warp. Eventually they warp. And you know I'm hard on my stuff too, because I do test things out. I mean, look at this plate. That's a mess. Look at that. But I'm still using it, and it's okay. One tip is make sure you try and use different areas so that you're cutting into them all equally. It'll help it from warping just on one side. If you just use one side, it'll start to bow out, so then flip it over and use this side some more. They replaced my handle with just a phone call. Looks like mine. Well loved. Yes, I like that. I like that word. It's a well-loved machine, indeed. So I also want to point out as I pull out an alterations die, of course, Tim Holtz has a relationship with Sizzix, so it will take the super thick dies. The Evolution will also take the thick dies. And now we're going to talk about the new Spellbinders Platinum, which now, woo, takes the big dies. So this is also a very large machine. So Spellbinders' previous machine, they had the Grand Caliber. So you had the nice wide cutting path. I disliked the Grand Caliber because A, it relied on suction to hold it down, which meant that it was not necessarily sturdy, and you could not use the thick rule dies with it. they just would not fit in. So Spellbinders has realized that we have a lot of different dies and we want to be able to use them. So they have created this machine like the Cuttlebug, the front and the back flip down for added maneuverability. It is heavy. It's heavier than the Big Shot, but it's also very, very stable. Now, I find that when I'm on my card table, it shakes and I have to use the little handle to stabilize, but most of the time it is pretty good just the way it is. Let me show you some interesting things about the Spellbinder. It is 8.5 inches wide, so you can cut an 8.5 by 11 or 12 sheet of paper on this. So Lisa just asked, how wide is the opening? It is 8.5 inches wide. It will hold a full-size sheet of paper here. You'll also notice that on the cutting platform, they give you all the sandwiches. So wafer thin, how to emboss, how to use an embossing folder, or a 3D embossing folder. It is really big. Now, here's the weird thing. Here are the cutting mats. So the cutting mats don't go the full size of the mat. It actually takes 2 cutting mats to make up the full size. I can only imagine that maybe they'll come out with cutting plates that actually fit the platform. So I don't understand that. Like, if you're going to give me the size of a platform, please then give me plates that fit. As you can see, I have been using this machine almost exclusively since I got it right before Christmas. And the plates are very well loved. Like many others, they chew up very quickly, but they're still sturdy. You can still use them. And I like the fact that they are see-through. So let's go back to our little hello die, since that's my die of choice today. There are going to be a lot of hello cards made, I guess. And again, you can turn it face down or face up. I like to be able to see what I'm doing. And I'll show you, I'm going to kind of just tap it in here and then roll it through. Now this does, I can definitely feel the pressure when it goes through, that little kind of crunchy feeling that I'm used to. And here's our die cut. It's very pretty, nice and crisp. They tell me that this is all metal in here. This is a metal gearing and roller system. So that means that it's going to have a lot of power. It's also going to not break down as often. I am one of those people that I broke my grain caliber. I broke the gears because they use plastic gears at the time. This is all metal, like the Big Shot, so it's going to be more sturdy for you. But as you can see, yes, it does have a bigger cutting path. Is it heavy? Oh, I think it's, I could probably look up the specs for you. But yeah, this is a heavy mama jamma. If you wanted to get your upper body workout, you could just take this handle and lift it up and down. So once you have it on your table, you may not want to be moving it. I'm just telling you. But again, it's so heavy because A, it's all metal. Number one, it's all metal. 2, there's no suction system to hold it down, so you really need the weight of the machine to hold it sturdily on your surface. Now, here's the crazy thing about this, and I even emailed the company yesterday because this bothered me. So I'm going to grab a little piece of paper here. Hold on, let me find one that you can see. Sorry, I'm in the shot. Okay. So here's a regular embossing folder, Sizzix. But you're familiar with these embossing folders, right? They come from Dervis. They come from Provocraft. I go to put this in, and there is not enough bite for it to work. So, okay, maybe the embossing plate, it really barely goes in, and it takes a lot of pressure. And it actually even warps the plate a little bit. Can you see these lines that I'm putting in it? And it actually almost breaks up the integrity of the paper. I mean, this is a lot of pressure. So if you want to use your, I call them the cheapo embossing folders, what I've been doing is putting them on here and then using a piece of corrugated cardboard. And I thought I brought it in with me, but maybe I didn't. But I've been shimming it myself because I feel like the purple one, the embossing plate, is almost just a little too thick, or it takes a little bit of muscle. And so I want to let you know, how does it cut with felt, since felt is all the rage? Well, if you want, let me grab a piece of felt. YouTube channel today or on my website today, you'll see all of the cutting samples that I did. Did you hear that nice satisfying crunch sound? I kind of like it now, guys. I hate to tell you, but that's how I know that I get a nice crisp cut. So there you go. I did have to shim it when using these kind of thin dies. These warp too, by the way. These aluminum dies will warp. Don't be freaked out. Just put them upside down. But you have to shim it with a little bit of extra construction paper. So you're going to use the sandwich of the 2 cutting plates and your steel rule die in the middle. By the way, these are really the best ones to use. If you're cutting felt, denim, fabric, these are the best because they just cut very quickly, very easily, and have a sharper surface. So now you know that you can use your alterations dies in the new Platinum machine. Like I said, that was my kind of complaint before, was that you couldn't. About the Fiskars Fuse. Now this is by far the heaviest, monstrous machine I've ever seen in my life. It takes an act of God just to even open it up. I can't even show you how big it is. But the thing is, it has a 12-inch cutting path, and they do have 12-inch cutting platforms. You can also letterpress, emboss with it. They have small, medium, and large die cutting plates for it. But this thing is truly like a rolling mill. If you want to do production work, if you're interested in cutting many, many, many layers of felt, cotton, fabric at the same time, this is a great machine to have. And my tip of the day with this, if you find these, by the way, because Fiskars has discontinued them. So I was told by Cutterpunk that they are on clearance on Amazon for $100. Okay, I'm going to take this out so I can kind of give you a little bit of a view, aerial view of it. These are $100, which is just unheard of for this heavy duty of a machine. It's incredible. So I'm keeping mine. I'm going to be moving into the new studio to do more production work. For most people, this is something that is not portable. You must open it up and kind of, you can definitely, close it up when you're done with it. But even just to move this part out of the way, you can see that it is not small. I have a full, oh my gosh, even just to move it around, it hurts me a little bit. I do have a full review of this on crafttestdummies.com and videos, but there's like a nice little handy area for storage. But if you are working in production, if you've got a lot of stuff to do, or you use it for both fabric, paper, denim, etc., this is a hell of a machine. And the dies and the letterpress inserts are pretty impressive.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this overview helpful. If so, please give it a thumbs up, or feel free to ask a question down in the comment section. If you'd like to watch live Periscopes, visit me at Craft Test Dummy Periscope TV. Thanks and have a crafty day!